And I welcome the suggestions and also the offer by our development partners to work with us in ensuring that we build on the successes that already exist, the networks that already exist, the capacities that are in place for us to improve on our capacities locally and shared across the continent. This conference is therefore an opportune moment to strengthen regional, continental, and global frameworks of cooperation and the collaborative development of bilateral, regional, and multilateral strategies that enhance synergy and leverages the body of existing instruments to prevent and deter new and emerging crimes. Prosecutors are the gatekeepers of the criminal justice system. They are the most visible custodians of the rule of law and the guardians of public interest in the enforcement of accountability for criminal offenses. The expectations which fall on the prosecutor are heavy. To discharge them, prosecutors must enhance the credibility of the institution and overall legitimacy of law enforcement by fiercely asserting their independence, consistently demonstrating fairness, and being guided solely by the law. Let me repeat, guided solely by the law. I understand that prosecutors occasionally come under immense pressure for other political considerations. I want to encourage you that you have an opportunity as a prosecutor to make history, to build an institution that can transcend your own term in office by not succumbing to impunity, by not kowtowing to political convenience, but standing up for the institution that you represent and ensuring that prosecutions are independent in word and in deed. I say so without minimizing the working environment that many of you work under. Sometimes you have huge challenges. Sometimes you have huge and monumental customers, if I may say. And sometimes it is overbearing in an office. I was listening, for example, yesterday, and that's why I know the job of a prosecutor is difficult. I was listening yesterday to one of our politicians who was alleging that members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission went to his house. And he's telling this story 5 months after the act. And he's volunteering this information laced with insinuations that the officials had gone there for something he has not disclosed. It begs the question, if it is true, what were these officials doing in your house at your invitation? Being a candidate, how did you end up inviting officials of an independent body to your house? It also begs the question, you had an opportunity to bring up this evidence of alleged bribery before 7 judges of the Supreme Court. You did not. You have instead chosen to take this big announcement to a political rally. I can see that the job of a prosecutor is really difficult if you have to deal with such. However, the government of Kenya remains committed to promoting public confidence in constitutionalism and the rule of law by respecting, defending, and upholding the independence of national institutions and eradicating undue influence and weaponizing tendencies. We are committed to promoting an ideal environment for the revival of prosecutorial zeal, guided by national values and principles of governance and underpinned by sound grasp of constitutional mandate. I therefore affirm that the government of Kenya will deliver on its commitment to allocate adequate resources to enable agencies throughout the governance, justice, law, and order sector, including the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, to perform their functions effectively and efficiently. We have not, and I have told the Director of Public Prosecution, we have not asked the Director of Public Prosecution's office to do any favor for us in return for funding their office. It is their right to discharge their mandate as an office, that a mandate given to them by the Constitution of Kenya. And we have no trade-offs, and we will have none. We want them to discharge their responsibility. We will do ours, and we must be founded on a firm, strong foundation of the rule of law. It goes without saying that a commitment to prosecutorial zeal must always take full cognizance that we are a democratic society dedicated to the realization of the greatest extent of fundamental rights and freedoms. In this context, the measure of professionalism, integrity, and legitimacy is the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens as the principal end of law enforcement. I think, let me repeat this for clarity. I have said the measure of professionalism, integrity, and legitimacy is the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens as the principal end of law enforcement. As I conclude, I commend the Africa Prosecutors Association for graciously designating Kenya to host this year's conference, and congratulate the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for earning that great opportunity on behalf of Kenya. Being able to join you today has affirmed my optimism in the future of governance, the rule of law, justice, and law enforcement on our continent. And we look up to you as policymakers to stand up to any measure or any kind of impunity in our continent, so that we can harness the opportunity and the great momentum that we can to drive our continent into prosperity. The history of peace, security, and shared prosperity in Africa shall have a chapter dedicated to the role of prosecutors in faithfully stewarding sustainable development by safeguarding the integrity of our vital institutions. And maybe I am making this conference too serious, but if any one of you underestimated the seriousness of what you do, let me again say, the future of institutions of our continent will depend to a great extent on the performance of prosecutors in safeguarding the institutions of governance of our continent. I now declare the 16th Annual Africa Prosecutors Conference officially open and wish you very fruitful deliberations. God bless you all. God bless Kenya, and God bless our great continent of Africa. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much.